Everything is awesome.
Everything is cool when you're part of a team.
Everything is awesome.
When you're living a dream.
Yeah.
Such a awesome Lego song.
Pop.
It's a bop.
And here's to the beginning.
I'll drink to that.
Why, Johnny Ringo.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
I know exactly what I'm doing, and I can change it at any time.
I'm your huckleberry.
An outlaw loose and running came the whisper from each lip, and he's here to do some business with the big iron on his hip.
Incoming the Rambling Podcast, with your hosts, Conway Titty, and Stoney Robbins.
Howdy, hey, cowpokes, and welcome back to another episode of the Ramblin' Podcast. I'm your host, Conway Titty. Joined with me always is,
Stoney Robbins.
and we're back piercing your ear holes for another season. We just got over all of the Halloween stuff. I'm actually genuinely very sad that it's over. I cannot believe we're already this far into November. It's like, I feel all over the place. I feel like once October hits, it's like the last 3 months of the year go by in a blink of an eye. And then it seems like January and February like take forever.
Yeah, the last 3 months are insanely quick to me. Like
You also feel that way?
yeah, it's the weirdest thing because you're like, oh, it's September. Oh, cool, September's gone. Oh, October. Okay, it's gonna take a little bit, but here comes Halloween, and oh look, now it's just holiday, 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 holiday. There's holidays after holidays this
Yeah.
time, so it makes it feel like you're doing a lot, even though it's not that much.
And I think with the time change, that is such a weird daylight saving times in general is so we're not
It's
farmers
weird. It's
in this
weird.
we're not farmers in the 1700s anymore, all right?
Yeah, we don't
We're
need
not
that extra hour of daylight, I promise.
that's not what it's for. That's the only reason we turn
And
back the clock.
imagine trying to get that across to everybody back then, trying to like invent daylight savings time.
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing. I don't think we should be doing it still, but like what the fuck ever, I guess. But that throws me off every time. I hate walking outside and it's like 5, 6 p.m. and it's already pitch black outside.
Yeah.
That's the worst, you know, because
Yeah,
we're
it's bad. It's bad
it's
because
all because we set the clocks back an hour. Hasn't you know what? It's only
yeah,
because of that. It's
yeah,
like it's
nothing actually changes in the universe. Just what we perceive as time
time is
changes.
which is it's just so fucking stupid to be honest.
Yep.
And I like I said, Halloween went and came, and I hope you guys enjoyed our little spooky season episodes talking about cryptids and ghosts, ghouls, goblins. Stoney got to rant about big candy.
Yeah, I've got a bone to pick with Big Candy,
But now we're kind of getting more into
specifically Nerds Rope.
a little bit yeah, for real. Oh my god. But now we're kind of getting into a kind of shift. Kind of getting away from our spooky aspect. It's been crazy because on the streams too, I've been switching from playing horror games into like back to different
Yeah.
normal games, and it's a weird dynamic when it's all of a sudden the spookiness is gone. And I know people that celebrate Halloween all year round, which is like totally cool and fine. But it is sad when it's gone. So I see why people just are like, nah, we're gonna keep it all year round, which is that's cool. But we're gonna be talking about traveling today. Obviously, 'tis the season, right?
Yeah, yay for world traveling.
It is known that they see billions of people travel constantly in November and constantly in December from all around the world for all the holidays. Because for some reason, not even like let's say not even the generic United States holidays like Christmas, uh,
Christmas.
Christmas, or
Creedmas.
yeah. So
Hello, my friend.
Creedmas, yeah, exactly. Fuck,
It's me again.
fuck Christmas. It's
It's
Creedmas.
Creedmas.
It's
We
Creedmas
celebrate
here.
Creedmas in this house.
But yeah, not only just let's say the generic Christmas, you have all the other holidays, like Kwanzaa, Hanukkah. You have all Indian holidays, Diwali, and things that are in November. It's not necessarily all right around what Americans think Christmas time is. You know, it's like there's so
Well,
many
yeah,
other
you can look at
holidays.
it like the Lunar New Year is celebrated instead of like the calendar year, like
Yeah,
how a lot of
exactly,
places
exactly.
celebrate New Year. There's Chinese New Year. It's
There's
celebrating the
just
calendar of lunar.
there's just so many things, so many different holidays and events that do happen from November to middle of January most of the time. And these three months are technically the busiest travel months in the entire like
Yeah,
worldwide.
lots
Um,
of lots of travel.
and it's insane to me because growing up, we didn't really have to do a whole lot of traveling for like holidays or anything like that. We would just, head over to Meemaw's house and hang out, and that's fairly close. It wasn't having to. I can't imagine it's the
Traveling
week.
countries
Yeah,
for
say
holidays.
countries, for example, or it's the week of Christmas and you live like say on the East Coast and your family lives in the West Coast and you have to deal with all that airplane chaotic airport just a disaster during holidays, right? I mean, the airports are crazy normal, but I cannot imagine the airports during holidays because I just don't do that. I don't travel during. I think I traveled one time from Houston to my family's in Oklahoma one time, and I flew on a plane, and I flew the. I think I flew the couple of days after Christmas.
Yeah, just even
Um
around anything like
and
then the 20th till like the 10th
yeah,
just sucks.
and it was like there was barely anybody. It's nice because sometimes there's nobody on the planes. That flight maybe had like there was like 5 people on that entire plane, and we just kinda got to sit wherever we wanted. Um, but it's like the days before these holidays, that's when everyone travels. It's like everyone thinks the same thing. You know, when you're traveling and you're like, maybe if we leave on this day, we'll beat everybody else there. But everyone else has that same thought of maybe they should leave this day. Um, and that part kind of sucks is like it's just I the record numbers of people that travel just by plane is insane during holiday season. It's like unbelievably mind blowing. And I cannot imagine being a flight attendant having to deal with all these shitty people during these holidays. Because
Yeah.
people are not nice during holiday season. I don't
They
know
are not.
what
They are very mean.
I mean, people are mean normally to flight attendants and to airplane everything, right? But I could not imagine everyone's like, "'Tis a season of giving. It's a season of, love and happiness," and it's like everyone acts like cunts
Yeah.
everywhere. Like,
Yeah,
for
that's
real,
good. I
entitled.
mean, it's really accurate. Like people just it's like they think because it's the holiday, it's all about them and they
Yes.
deserve everything. And it's the
The m
weirdest thing. It's like
Yes,
you're
yes, yes.
just a person. You are
And
nothing special.
let's specify Americans,
Yes,
alright?
Americans,
Mainly,
100%.
Americans are very much "'tis the season of me" giving. Like, Thanksgiving, I think the hilarious it's the common thing that everyone sits down for Thanksgiving, and then everyone go gets in fist fights for Black Friday the next day. They all
Yep.
sit down and say what they're grateful for, and they're so thankful for life,
And then they
and
fight
they go
people over a
and then
TV.
over a fucking TV, over a fucking $200 dollar TV.
Yeah.
It's and
Because
I
it was originally $300, $100 off, so it's a deal.
We'll definitely talk
Girl
about that.
math.
We'll definitely talk about that, later in a couple of weeks. We'll have a whole little episode on Thanksgiving and Black Friday and shit like that, so we won't get too into it. But traveling, I've had some really shitty traveling stories, like, I'm sure everyone has had. Stoney's had some really shitty ones, and I've had some good and bad, it kinda just depends on environment, the circumstances, everything like that. But I have traveled by car, obviously. I have traveled by bus, I have traveled by train, and I have also traveled by plane. I have never traveled by boat, like a cruise or anything like that, or,
Yeah.
like a
So planes, trains, and automobiles.
yeah, I've had a ferry before, but I don't really count that. Like anything kind of a little long distance in a while. I would say my favorite way to travel, when it comes to America, because it is so vast and large and we don't have trains, I would say trains are my top, but we don't, it's just not really much of a thing anymore. And I'm talking about like charter trains, like an Amtrak where it's like,
Yeah, they still
like,
exist. They're just
yeah,
so few and far between, and they hit,
yeah.
like, places that, I mean, you just wouldn't think to go.
Well, the one I did was mostly in Texas. That's where they have the
Yeah,
Amtrak, where you just go from like Arlington all the way down to San Antonio or something like that.
yeah.
Um, I did that twice when I was younger, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I really do enjoy trains because you're also getting to see a different aspect of America. You're not necessarily all by the highways the whole time. You're
Yeah.
actually, like, traveling through the countryside and shit, which I think is really pretty. Like, I couldn't imagine trains over in, like, Europe and other countries, which is so beautiful. You know,
Yeah.
it's a little bit more they use them a little bit more, and I'm not talking about, like, subways or, like,
Oh, they
metros
use
or
them a
anything like that.
lot more than we do,
You
cause
know,
like,
like
there's a Euro train, there's bullet trains, there's, like,
yeah,
local
exactly.
trains, like
All over everywhere but America,
yeah,
right?
and it's weird because, like, whenever we think about the reason I think the big reason why it's not as popular in the States is because of how vast our states really are in comparison to, like, say, the UK. You could drive 2 hours and it's like, that's like 2 cities apart
Oh, yeah,
in,
but
like,
also
say, Texas.
you gotta realize America's subway stations are the absolute fucking dog shit. Like, I've been in London and I've been
Yeah,
on
I've
their
taken I've
tube,
taken I've taken the subway in New York City before, and
c
I mean,
it's
it
wonderful,
works, it's
but
just
it's
it's not
compared to
great.
Japan, let's say Japan's subway
Yeah,
stations and
like
bullet
a
trains and
Japanese one would be so much better.
yeah, and I've traveled in London all around their tube system, and it's easy, and it's clean, and it's, like, compared to America's, it's, like, a million times better, right? So the trains also in other countries are so much better, and they're more prominent. But my favorite way to travel now, if I don't have to like, if it's possible, most of the time it's not possible. I like traveling in, like, charter buses. I think they're really fun because it is a bigger like, I'm very scared of cars and just being in a car in general. So when I'm in, like, a bus, I feel a little bit more safer because it is a little bit bigger on the road. I feel more comfortable. I don't know. I've always felt a little bit more comfortable in like charter buses and shit. And whenever I traveled and I would do my Kontiki trips, which I'll do a whole episode on Kontiki itself. That's how we got around was in a charter bus, and it was just really comfortable and really nice. And I think that's really fun for like long distances for sure. I mean, a truck or a car is totally fine too. But when it comes to America, yeah. But if I had to choose, a train, absolutely. And I don't mind planes. Have gotten over my fear of flying over the years. I think it's more of a not necessarily a fear of flying because I'm terrified of heights. I don't mind when we're above the clouds because I can't like see the ground. You know that doesn't bother me as much. Like it's not really like being on the edge of a building, right? The thing
Yes.
that bothers me the most when it comes to planes is necessarily the other people. It's the other people on the planes. As in, like, they're stinky, they've been farting, especially when you're doing, like, international traveling. You're in a vacuum tube smelling other people's farts and food all day for, like, 9 hours, right? It's awful. It's fucking awful. I hate it. I hate that part about, I think that's my biggest hate about traveling is the fact that you don't when you're on planes, you don't have that fresh air
Oh,
aspect
yeah,
that you
no,
would if you're on a
they
bus.
have a recirculation system.
Oh my god, it's awful. It's so awful. But
Yeah,
if I had to choose
if anyone who's flown international knows it's not fun. The best thing to do on international planes is to just sleep.
is to sleep, is to
Because if you sleep, you can knock out some hours really
yep,
fast.
yep, and I could not imagine we still haven't done it yet. I know one time in our life we'll go to Australia, but that
Oh.
28-hour
Blech.
flight
Oh, that sounds miserable.
absolutely blows my mind because also, like I said, having autism, um, the overstim very easily.
Yeah.
The, like, stressing out very easily, and then the ability knowing that you cannot get fresh air. You physically cannot roll down a window like you would in a car or, like, when you do bus stop and you're, like, they pulling over to, like, get people snacks or whatever, you know, like, you do not have that ability to
I don't think I ever wanna do that, if I'm being 100% honest with you. I don't think I wanna do that because
we just go on boat. We can just go
you
by
just
boat.
talking about it makes me feel, ugh.
Oh, we can go to Australia by boat.
Yeah, I would rather do that
Yeah.
because, like, I
Um,
can do, like, a flight to Japan. Like, I've done international flights that are,
yeah, me too.
24 hours,
But,
but
like
it's different because I did mine in 2 different stops.
yeah, that's
Like, I
you
flew,
have a
like
moment. You have a
yeah, I
moment to
flew a
breathe.
little bit,
Yeah.
yeah, and I did get to go outside, and so it broke up a little bit.
I think the worst part, especially, like, since I've traveled solo so much, overseas and everything, the worst part is too is you don't know usually I try to book especially with international flights, I try to book, uh, business economy to where you get a little bit more room, and you
Yeah,
only
but
have
the flights are so expensive
and you
now.
only have 1 other person sitting next to you rather than 2 other people, because that
Yeah, because
also is the worst.
I flew on a 767, I think, or something like that, like a massive,
Big
like,
ass
huge
yeah.
plane,
Yeah.
and it was like, I think it was like
You flew to
383.
Kuwait too, like, you
Yeah.
were like packed. You guys are
Yeah,
packed into
we
like
flew.
sardines.
I mean, I've flown all over, and like, yeah, flying to the Middle East it's a journey.
Yeah, for sure. But my thing is, I think the thing that a lot of people will agree with, no matter what plane ride you're on, no matter how long it is, it all depends on your little passenger neighbor. If you have
Yeah.
if you're in like a 3-row seat and you
If
get,
you're in a 3-row seat, you're lucky. I'll say that because I got lucky because I was on the outside edge
yep,
of
that also depends if you're a
which
window, I'm a
really
window
matters
seat
for me
person.
because I'm tall.
You need an aisle seat. I
Yeah.
need a window seat. That's how it works.
Yeah, and with the
So,
fact that they just keep getting smaller and smaller for leg room, yeah, I would honestly, one of my, like, dreams, and this is the stupidest thing, I don't even wanna do it for anything other than I want to feel what it's like to fly with comfort
oh, like
instead of,
first
like,
class, yeah.
instead of a private plane or something like that. I wanna fly, like, first class on, like, Emirates.
Where you can lay down and you have a whole little
Yes,
cabin,
they have
little
those
area.
loungers, and
Yeah,
there's,
it's
like,
expensive as fuck.
that's what I wanna do. They're, like, $14,000 a
But
ticket, but I wanna do it.
my thing is, it like I said, it all depends on your passenger neighbor. They can either, if you are a decent human being in this world, then, like, guaranteed, like, the other person next to you is probably a decent human
Flight etiquette
being.
101, just
Yeah,
don't talk.
literally. Like,
Just
not even
just don't
don't
talk.
talking, not even don't talking, but it's like your own little space. Everyone has their own little tiny space in this little thing. It's okay to share and, like, if you're getting along with everybody, but there's nothing worse than the people that,
If you see me with headphones in and you proceed to try to talk to me
yes,
after I have stopped what I'm doing to take them out beforehand to listen to something,
like
and then you
5
watch
times.
me put them back in, and then I close my eyes, and then you tap my shoulder, yeah, I'm not gonna be happy.
There's nothing worse than somebody eating really stinky food on these airplanes too, because like I said, there's no, like, circulation. So not
Yeah, see,
only,
I got lucky on mine because the whole flight was catered.
well, no, I meant, like, people, like, bringing snacks, like, people
Oh, yeah,
bringing,
yeah,
like,
see that yeah, the
just
difference was,
random
like, we
snacks.
couldn't bring anything,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, people bring, this is very common. People bring, like, because you can bring snacks from little kiosk things or things that you bring from home. You know, like, you can bring whatever you want, like, food wise. And it's insane when people are, like, pulling out beefy Slim Jims and Funyun combination with some, like, a can of fish put in together. Like, it's so raunchy when people have the craziest food
There is some
combination.
fish that is banned from flights.
Yeah, because it's just, I see why, you know, it's, like, obvious. But I think that's, it's like, if you have good airplane etiquette, then, like, you're fine, but I think
Yeah.
it's worse than somebody talking really loud, somebody using your entire space. If people are sitting behind you and it's the whole, like, child kicking the seat shit, that's fucking annoying. I fucking cannot stand babies crying on a goddamn airplane.
Yeah.
However, I understand it also is very difficult to also, like, I'm sure the, like, mother
Yeah,
or father is really
they didn't wanna
overwhelmed,
break it
right?
either, I
Yes,
promise.
yes, but my thing is the parents that just don't even try to, or, you know what I mean? Like, they're just like, "Whatever, baby's crying." And if your baby, you're doing an 8-hour flight and the baby has cried the entire way,
Yep.
I I can't do. I
I
can't
love the
do.
fact I have noise canceling headphones.
Yeah, but even then, it's like, I can imagine sitting right next to that person, or, it's hard to travel with kids, but it's also like, why are you taking your, 8-month-old
Yeah.
on a flight that's 32 hours? Like, that also blows my mind too. But anyways, we'll get into, like, some story times. Do you have any about just traveling in general? You got any stories about us traveling in general? Like, because we've traveled
Um,
a little bit
yeah,
before.
we've gone a couple places.
We have. We have.
Um,
We traveled by car, train, plane, boat. We've
yeah, I've been on
done.
everything.
Yep.
Yeah. I've yeah, because whenever I used to live on the East Coast, so there's more trains between cities over there, I feel like,
Yep.
than say like the Midwest or, where we're at.
The South.
Yeah. Um, and then, I've flown on planes from like very little. Like I guess like the first time I was on a plane was like probably two, maybe one or
Okay, so
two.
you have a lot of airplane
Oh yeah, and I
experience.
mean, I lived on one side of the country. My dad lived on a different side of the country, so I flew back and forth
Quite a
quite
bit, yeah.
regularly. Yeah. So there was, this and that I would do. And then I've
Well, no,
been
I'm
on a
not I'm not
cruise
talking, hey,
before.
I'm not talking about your, like, history. I'm talking about
Oh
like
yeah.
stories. Like, do you have not like I don't need your detailed list of I've done this, I've done that.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
more of talking about you got some stories for us of like really bad experiences or really crazy experiences of traveling or anything of that. Or do you want me to go
I
first to give you
mean,
a list?
well, we did this one little trip this one time that turned out to be a disaster.
I talked about the camper trip. If you want to listen to our, I knew he was gonna say that. If you want to listen to our camper story, we have that up. Camper one and part one and part two is available to listen. Just go find it. I don't remember what episode it is, but it's quite a popular episode. We traveled the country in a little camper for
Oh, it wasn't little. It was a
3 months.
good-sized camper. We had a house on wheels, but
Anyways,
it's
we're not
like
gonna get into it.
yeah.
You have a full episode to go listen to that. I'm talking about besides that, Stony. I knew you were gonna say that.
Um,
Would you like me to go first? Because I already have like three on the top of my head.
no, because you always just
Have
keep
good
talking and
stories.
talking and
Yeah,
talking,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Definitely one that comes to mind was flying to the Middle East, and only because like the first half of the flight
About your sleep
was
deprivation. You gotta include all the little details of like
well, I mean, kind of, I guess. We flew out at like I want to say 11 p.m. or something like that. Like it was late at night. I remember that or later, I
and
guess.
the time change is
Yeah,
ridiculously
and
crazy.
then I went from like Texas to Ireland and like one straight flight.
Nice.
So I think I slept pretty much that entire flight. Um, and then we got to Ireland and we drank because of course. And so I got a little I mean, I was drunk. Let's call it what it was. I was drunk. I got drunk in Ireland in like we were only stopped in Ireland for like 2 hours, I
Wasn't
think.
that the
2,
last
3
time you guys
hours.
could drink too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
And basically I just got drunk because I knew I wasn't gonna get to drink for a long time. And then I was drunk the entire way from Ireland to Kuwait City. And well, I was drunk and then I fell asleep and then I kind of was hungover when I woke up.
but still on the plane.
Still on the plane.
Still on the plane,
Yeah,
that's
I
the
got
worst.
woken up to a meal and it was like an in-flight meal and it was just not great. Like the international flight menus are generally pretty good. If it's you can choose what you want kind of thing. We were just served
To
what we
know.
were
Yeah,
given.
yeah.
So that sucked. And then, and then you leave somewhere where it's, cuz let's see, this would have been December in Texas. So it was like 40, 30 degrees, something like that, around that temperature. Like it was cold. And then you fly across the world and it's, 80 degrees. You're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're like, "Cool, cool,
And then
cool,
you
cool,
just
cool."
know it's only going to get hotter.
Yeah. It's like early in the morning too, you're like, "Jesus."
Yeah. So that was probably the worst one, but I can guarantee and on the exact opposite, that flight home, oh, it felt so long, but I got lucky and I ended up in first class on the way back
Oh, nice, nice.
because I like had done basically baggage stuff and they were like, "Hey, there's first class seats and you did baggage, so you get to sit
You're
up
like,
here."
"Fuck yeah, Will,
So
I
the
will
whole
sit up
way
there."
home, I got to fly first class, which was so much better. I had a seat that like reclined a little bit.
Yeah, you're not packed in like a sardines, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I still had to, do bags whenever I got back, but I didn't care. And then the best memory of the entire trip, because if we stopped like in 3 different places, so it was like
Yeah.
stop, 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 stop.
Yeah.
Um, we went to Ireland again, so definitely the alcohol that was awesome. And then after we got back to the States, we flew into Baltimore and we could leave the airport. So
And
like
you were
the
like,
the
"Oh, fresh
best part of
air,
yes. And it was
American
like
fresh air,
yes, like it's the hardest thing to explain, but when you
not
go somewhere
desert,
that
not
doesn't have
dry."
trees, the
Yeah,
air just is different. Like
yeah.
it smells different. It's like it doesn't feel like
Well,
a nice deep inhale.
it also being 120 degrees Fahrenheit, it's just
Yeah, it
sand
was
and
it was a
desert.
desert.
Yeah, and then you get back and you're like, "Oh my
And
god."
I got back in October. So
Oh,
we
perfect
walked
weather.
outside and it was like 40 degrees and I just took a big deep breath and
Cry.
I touched grass. Like I'm
Yeah.
not even kidding. There was like a little patch of grass on a median and I walked over to it and like touched it.
You just shed a
And
little
was
tear.
I
You're like,
no,
"Thank
I was
God."
just so happy and
Yeah.
I was like, I need a cigarette. Like I do remember that. I went outside because they said if you smoke, you can go outside. And so I literally just bummed a cigarette
You're
off of
like, "I don't
somebody.
care. I
I
don't
was
even
like, I
smoke
just need
cigarettes." Yeah.
anybody have a menthol? I'll smoke
Yeah.
anything right now.
Yeah.
It was it was a weird cathartic experience, and then going from
Yeah.
Baltimore back to Texas, and then it going from 30 when you walked outside to now it's back to 70. I was like, "What the fuck is going
But
on?"
it was still cool, or
Because
the yeah.
like we left we left so it was I think still roughly around 70, 60 degrees when we left the desert. So when we got back, we had like some of our winter gear on.
Yeah.
And then I got back to Texas and because we got out of the plane and we all got out on the tarmac and it was just so hot and then we had to do all
Like,
this stuff and we had like long sleeves on and it was
ew.
miserable. I do remember that. And then that
Oh.
whenever we got back to the place we were staying and I got to get to a shower, like
Oh.
just turn on the shower and just stand in the water. Oh, it was so amazing.
Just being like, "This is." I'm glad
Yeah,
I'm
and
not talking about
not having to go to a trailer to take a shower and use like a turn knob that you just have to hold.
yeah.
Yeah,
What an experience.
and using a normal toilet again.
Yeah, what an experience.
It was great. It was great. I say normal, using a what I'm comfortable with American toilet.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Not a hot porta potty or anything like
Yeah.
like, yeah, after months and months and months and months of that,
Yeah, I could go on a whole list of that
thank you,
entire trip of why it sucked, but I think that kind of goes without saying. Ugh.
So, I I'll talk about my very first time on a plane. I
That's right, I forgot. You hadn't been
Yeah,
you're, like,
I was
pretty fresh,
yeah.
in air travel.
I didn't think I've told you the whole detailed story either, but I'll tell you. This is probably Stoney's first time that I'm like, because we talk about a lot of stuff, but we don't really like go into detail too much, and we learn a little bit more when we do
Every time we
podcasts.
go
Because
through stories.
yeah, because not only that, but like we have to tell details for the audience, right? Because we kind of just like chalk it up to like, oh, well, I did this, this, and this, and this, but we don't really. I mean, we go into detail, but not like a lot of detail like we do when we talk to you guys. So, um, it was my first time on a plane, and it was the summer after I turned 21. I took a semester off in college, is like my junior year of college, and I was like, it was right after a really big breakup. I talk a lot about that in the toxic relationships episode if you want to listen to that. And I turned 21 in May, and then my study abroad trip was in June, and I was only studying abroad for 2 weeks. They have like little 2-week programs. Otherwise, you can go like a full semester, you can go a full year. Sometimes they do just spring break or like a winter break. But I chose a little summer break because so my study abroad that I chose was for that summer, and I was going to study abroad in 2 weeks at Regent's University in central London. Um, and this was after a big change in my life, like literally a whole 180. There was a lot going on. This is the first time I ever was going to be on a plane. This is the first time I was ever going to travel out of the country. It was a lot of firsts at this moment in my life, but I knew basically a month after I got done with this relationship, after like a 3-year pretty much engagement, I was like, I need to just, you go do things for yourself. So I was like, I'm just gonna go get some college credits in a different country and just figure it out. And I had some scholarships for it, so it did also kind of pay for a lot of it, which is mainly one of the only reasons I went was because it was, a majority of it was paid for. So I remember having a panic attack on the way to the airport, like genuinely on the way in the car. I was like having a full blown panic attack. I was just sobbing and I was really scared because one, I'm scared of planes. I was traveling alone for the very first time, like completely solo. I was gonna be away from everyone I knew. Um, it was a lot to take in at once. Like it was just a lot happening. And I was also, like I said, scared of flying, scared of heights, and I just was really nervous to go. And I get into the airport, I get all my things checked in. It was the first time going through TSA. Like there's just a lot of things to the airport that you don't know when it's your very first time. So we get through I get through the security, and then I was like, oh, there's a lot of like places to eat. There's like a lot of different things that are like in airports. Cause like I said, I've never even been to an airport or even like picked somebody else up from the airport. Like I had no knowledge except for like what I've seen on TV, right?
Yeah, you really had no clue what
Yeah,
airports
I had
were.
I had no clue. Um, so finally I'm like, oh, there's a lot of like shops and little things. I'm getting my snacks. And my first flight was to Atlanta. So I had to go from Oklahoma to Atlanta, which is one of the biggest, the
It's a
biggest
big hub.
airports
Yeah.
biggest airports in the fucking world, right? Hotlanta. Um, and they have a tram system in their airport too. And not only navigating Tulsa's airport, because it's not like as big as JFK or Atlanta or like
Well, I mean,
LAX, right?
Tulsa's airport isn't even as big as OKC's.
Yes, yeah, that's something. There's just a huge difference between like even like Dallas's airport and
Yeah,
like
in
it's
Oklahoma City. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
there's
if you've
so
traveled
many
a lot
different
and you've gone to a lot of
regional,
different airports, you'll
yeah,
know what we're talking about because like you've
a
got
lot.
some that are like regional, then you've got international airports, then you've got like just continental airports. It's
Yeah,
really
it's
weird how their size is so different too.
yes. So I flew from there to Atlanta, and it was my very first flight, and that's not that far of a flight. I think it was like a 3-hour flight for my first time. And remember we talked about passenger neighbors, right? Your
Yeah,
little neighbor buddies. I had this sweet old lady sitting next to me. I think she was maybe like in her late or early 70s, and she was
right.
traveling to see her grandkids. And I was like, she could tell I was visibly like uncomfortable, like just not having a good time. And started like kind of tearing up when we were about to take off because that was to me that's like the scariest part was like that part knowing that I was going to be up in the air. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to feel. And she grabbed my hand and held my hand the whole way up. And like kind of helped calm me down a little bit throughout the flight. So she was like that was like such a perfect person to sit next to on your very first flight ever, and uh chatted with her for a little bit, and then I kind of just read a book, and then the like landing was also kind of scary because like I said it's a bunch of firsts. You don't know what to expect. I've only seen what it's been described to me or in movies, right? The landing was not as bad as I thought it was going to be, and then once I got done I was like, oh, that's a plane ride. I wasn't as scared at that point anymore. I was like, oh, that's not so bad. And then I land in this really big fucking airport by myself, and I was like, I didn't understand the concept that the bags were basically going to travel from Tulsa all the way to London Heathrow Airport. I could not grasp that concept. I thought that you had to pick up your bags every single time you got to an airport, like each airport, and then like check them back in, right? I just like my brain didn't work that. But then I found out that that's not how it works. It just goes to your destination, right? No matter how many
Right.
know, connecting flights you have, right? So then I traveled from Atlanta all the way to JFK. This was the next part that we were going. No, wait, no. It was from Atlanta all the way to London. That was like
Yeah, London
my
Heathrow.
yes, yeah, to London Heathrow. So when I landed in London Heathrow, I booked. This was before I even left. Well, before I left. So my plan was since I was already going to be over the pond, I figured I want to go to Ireland, and why not go ahead and go a couple days early before school starts, so I can go visit Ireland.
Go travel a little bit.
Yes. So I booked an Airbnb with this very wonderful couple who had 2 kids. They lived right in the middle of Dublin. I would definitely book their Airbnb again. This was like 4 years ago, and like I still would double book them again. They were just it was unbelievably like per 5, 6, I don't know, 2018, whenever that was. However many
However
years
many
ago
years ago that was.
they were just so
Is
perfect.
that
They were
6 years?
so sweet, something like that. They were so sweet and so perfect. I couldn't ask for better hosts. So I land the flight
Oh, that's
from
5
Atlanta.
years. I'm just that bad at
Yeah.
math, and I'm sad it took me that long to figure it out.
Atlanta to London Heathrow. I also had another really good passenger buddy. She was actually flying to Africa, so she was going to London and going to Africa after that. And we sat together, and it was just me and her in the seat, and we didn't really bother each other. Like we would, wake each other up for meals. Like kind of just being courteous.
Yeah.
I didn't have a bad experience with that. I just realized, oh my god, this is 8 hours. It's so much different than a car ride. Like I explained, you don't have the windows rolled down. You don't like not really stopping when you need. But my flight was overnight, so I didn't really get to see like any of the ocean or the clouds outside. It was just completely dark. flying over, and then in my mind, I'm just going, "Oh my god, I'm over the ocean right now." Like, it also not never s like, never, like,
Yeah,
seeing
that's why
the
it's better to
ocean.
fly overseas at night because you can't see the
Yeah, you
water.
can't see it. So then we land, and as soon as we land, we had to wait. There was, like, a huge 2-hour waiting period. Well, my flight to, Ireland was taking off, leaving, was leaving the airport, and it was 8 a.m. in London, and it was 3 a.m. back home because it's a 5 to 6 hour time difference. I got really good with my time over there, trust me, because having
Yeah.
to go to school there and whoever you can call back home, you have to, like, wait for certain times and shit.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
trust me, I remember when I was
you
at
have to figure it
I
out.
had, like, a full, like, over 12-hour
Schedule.
difference.
Yeah.
It was, like, a
So
14-hour difference, something like
I'm
that.
sitting there in my seat, and you're just sitting on the tarmac, just like waiting. Like the plane's still, everyone's still in the plane, and we were just waiting for I don't know, maybe one of the things to open so they could unload us or whatever. We were just waiting there, and an hour goes by, and I'm going, oh my god, my flight is going to leave, and I don't know what to do. Like I have to be at this school at this time. And I already booked the Airbnb for Ireland, so I have to be in Ireland at this time, like, it was just a mess, and I was, like, I was by myself. It's the first time it's ever happening, and we finally get unloaded the plane, and I'm, like, sprinting to the little tram, and also, if you've never been to Heathrow Airport, it's also very massive, and I'm sprinting, because I had to go get my bags. It was not a connecting flight, and this is where I learned the difference between a connecting flight and, just a regular flight, right? So, if your flight is delayed by that 2 hours of, like, trying to get unloaded, and you miss your flight that's not a connecting flight, you're shit out of luck, pretty much. Usually, if you have a connecting flight, it automatically everyone on the plane gets rebooked, etcetera, right? So, I get off, and I'm running to grab my bags at the baggage claim, and then I have to exit the airport, and then re-enter the airport again, check in my baggage, check myself in, and then I am sprinting to the gate, and the plane took off 30 minutes. It was already gone 30 minutes, and it sucked because if we weren't having to sit there that extra 2 hours, I would have made my flight in time, right? So
Yeah, you kinda just got screwed and
I'm
you had nothing you could do about it.
Yeah, I'm freaking out because it's like I do not have the extra money to book another flight at all. Like I just did, it wasn't possible. My bank was also closed because, mind you, it's 3 a.m. back home, and I'm talking to the ticket people or whatever. The people that do all the tickets and boarding and everything, the other flight attendants, right? And I'm talking to them, and I'm like, I need to book this other ticket, but I can't right now. My bank blocked my card
Yeah, because it
the
was
first time I
international.
did because it was international. After I already told them that I was gonna be there for X amount of time, right?
Yeah.
And there was nothing I can do because it's 3 a.m. back
Yeah, and
home.
it's an automatic thing, like, I did
Yes,
the same thing happened to me
it's
the first time I
awful.
went international.
So
Like, I
I
told
was like,
them and it still didn't matter.
I was like, I'm fucked right now. I have no money. I was waiting to get cash out. I think I had like $20, like 20 pounds. I was waiting to get the rest out once I like got out of the airport because airport charges outrageous fees and shit. Like I
Yeah,
was
it's
just
way more
waiting to,
expensive to use
yeah,
a currency exchange inside the
or an
airport than it is
ATM
to
or
actually
anything
just
like
go
that.
out.
Yeah. So they were explaining they're like, okay, so one thing you can do, they're like, you can use this money and load it up on these like prepaid international cards, which that's how a lot of people do to like just if they get in binds like that. So I went over there and I like signed up for the little thing, and the flight attendant was like, don't worry, like we'll just keep your name over here on this little wait list, so we'll make sure we get you on this next flight to Ireland, basically.
Yeah.
Everyone was so super nice. Like they couldn't have been more helpful in this situation. And they could tell I was like losing my shit. Also, I was explaining like this is my first time flying. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like it's the first time out of the country. Explaining my scenario. I get over and I'm trying to get this prepaid thing going. All my money or most of my money that I was using went on this prepaid thing to buy another flight, right? It gets all activated and logged in. All right, cool. So I go back over to the front desk to like pay for my ticket. The card's not working. It's not working at all. And I was like, what do you mean it's not working? All my money's on there. Like I just put X amount of dollars to buy a flight from Ireland to London right there. And all of a sudden the card's not working. and
Yeah.
I had a toll free number, and they're like, "Well, there's nothing we can do about it right now. You have to wait 24 hours to be able to fix it for something else." Blah 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 blah. Right?
Right.
And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" So I was like, "I'm stuck here at this airport until 2 days from now, and then 2 days from now, I gotta go. I gotta be in London anyway. So like, fuck Ireland, right?" And I just started sobbing. I was like hysterically crying, just being like, "I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just stuck."
The first time you've ever flown too.
Yes, I'm stuck in this country I've never been to. All of my professors and everybody else do not arrive until the 2 days later, right? I have no one over here immediately that I can get a hold of or that can help
Yeah,
out.
you're truly alone. It's the first time you've ever had to feel like truly by
Not even
yourself.
truly alone, but it's more of like there is no way of getting out of this situation right now. Like physically, like I just can't. I have to be in Ireland because everything's already paid for, and that's where I can stay. I have nowhere to stay right now. Like I have no extra money. My cards are closed. Like I mean, granted, Heathrow Airport's not the worst place to sleep overnight. It's fucking great. There's tons of shit and food and everything. But I had nothing to use to be able to buy food or anything like that, right?
Right.
So I'm just having a meltdown. And this flight attendant could not have been any sweeter. She was like, "Don't even worry about it. We're just gonna comp your ticket. You have a free ticket." She's like, "We need to get you to where you need to go." And she basically
She was like, "This chick is crazy. We need to get her the
no,
fuck out of here."
no, she just they all felt really bad
Yeah,
because
I know. I'm just kidding.
they were helping me and they were like, "This should have worked. I don't know why it's not working." And they didn't have a solution either. And basically the flight attendant used her personal thing to buy me a ticket with her discount. And
Yeah.
then I was like, "Okay, can I get your number to like pay you back? I can Venmo you, PayPal you, whatever you guys have over here." And she's like, "No, don't even worry about it. Like it's not even that big of a deal." So this flight attendant basically bought my ticket to Ireland.
Yeah, and, I mean, I wonder how much that cost.
Well, I mean, maybe it was like I think it was like 120 pounds.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that's
Not
like
like
yeah, it's not something like, "Here's $1,000 ticket," or
Yeah, no,
something,
it
yeah.
was like 150 pounds uncomped, so I couldn't imagine what her discount is, or if she gets, like, free
Yeah,
flight,
it was probably like in her for her,
20
like,
bucks,
paying, like,
yeah.
$75 or something.
Not even that, it's probably, like, 20 bucks.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and I just was like I was so it was, like, unbelievably like, the amount of emotions I was going through in
So
a
wait,
24 hour.
I guess my one question, because I know how what happened, like, how London or how Ireland goes and everything, but I've never heard the story from Ireland back to
Yeah.
London.
Yeah, exactly. So, finally, she was so gracious, she bought my ticket for me, and I think she gave me, a couple, uh, coins and pounds. I think they're like $2 and $1, I can't remember, but she gave me some change, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Here's some for the little vending machines over there." She's like, "Go grab you a water and, like, a thing. It's gonna be a little while, but we're gonna get you on the first flight over there." So then I got to fly, not first class, but, like, the business class over
Yeah.
to because it was, her ticket, they get better special tickets. And I got over to Ireland. I got to Ireland. Because the family was also waiting on me because they were gonna pick me up from the airport.
Yeah.
Uh, but then they had to go to work because by the time I got in, it was their time for to work or whatever. And I had to get in this taxi. And this dude, it was the most after having like the worst experience ever. It was the most Irish man driving this taxi because they don't have Ubers over there. They don't have Ubers. They have their own little like system. And it was like he was full, thickest Irish accent, cussing up a storm, being really loud, yelling at other drivers, and I was like, "I have made it. I have made it." I was like, "This is the authentic experience I wanted to do." So he was like, "I'm not gonna charge you extra for the thing," and he kinda took me around, kind of the little Dublin's not that big, but he kinda took me the long way around to be like, "Okay, go to this pub, don't go to this one, that one sucks," like, kinda telling me, like, the tourist shit, like, "Don't do that because it's a waste of money." Super
Yeah.
nice dude. So I get a really nice person, right? Restoring my faith in people, right? And then, I got to the
Starting
place.
to realize, "Oh, it's just Americans.
Yeah.
That's why travel sucks."
I get to this place and the couple greets me. I get in about at this point it's 7 p.m. Mind you, I was at the airport at 8 a.m.
Yeah, the day
Right.
before, so you'd been up for, like, over 24 hours.
Yeah, and everyone was like, "Just stay up as late as you can, jet lag." I was like, "I'm not fucking doing that. I'm going straight to sleep." I only had 3 days in Ireland. 1 day of travel, one Friday to fully be there, and then Saturday I was leaving to be at the
Yeah.
school at Sunday, right? So I get there that Friday night or that Thursday night at 7 p.m. Go right to sleep. I then wake up to the most beautiful view at like 6 a.m. and a fresh cup of tea for me. There was, the baby cried in the morning because, like I said, she had kids and they were a little younger, which I didn't mind. That was totally fine. And I wake up and I was like, I'm just gonna go explore. So I venture out into Dublin by myself. I explore everything. It was super, super fun. It was Friday. I didn't stay out and experience the bar scene in Ireland because one, I'm a woman. Two, I was by myself. And three, I've never been there, so I didn't have confidence to, go out by myself. And also the lady I stayed with, she also had to work, so she wasn't able to go out with me because that's what she said she was gonna do. It was awesome. So then Saturday rolls around. I have to leave. I'm there for like lunch or whatever. Soaking in Ireland. I fucking love Ireland. It's like I can't wait to go back. It's so beautiful and amazing. And I didn't get to do the whole thing. I only got to go to Dublin, right?
Yeah.
So I was asking them, I was like, okay, could you guys call me a cab? I don't know your guys' little things. And oh my God, once again, the nicest people that were hosting. Not only did they pay for my cab ride, they also gave me money, some euros to grab
To
me
get
something
around.
to grab me something at the airport before I left. And they were just like, they were the nicest family. After, paying them to stay in their house, they're giving me money to well wishes, like it was just like I cannot get over how just welcoming it was, right? So then flew from Ireland to London, no problems, not a big deal, no big deal at
Yeah,
all.
and it's a really short flight too.
Super awesome. And then I had to be at the college, the Regent's College. If you guys know anything about London, it's literally like right in the fucking middle of the college. It's right by everything. You can walk to the different town squares, Piccadilly, Camden area so quickly. Like I fucking loved the 2 weeks I was in London. Also, I can't wait to take Stoney. It was so awesome. So the first time, um, I looked on my maps and I was like, okay, I'm at this part of the airport. Um, and you have to take a tram back to kinda, like, central London once you get off the airport. You're not really the tube yet, and I didn't have my tube card. The professors were gonna give that to us. And I was like, "Okay, how do I get from here to the college?" And I was like, "Oh, it's only, like, a 20-minute walk. I'll just walk. That's no big deal." And it really was. I just walked my luggage to the, um, college, and I got dropped off, and I was the very last person to arrive out of like my group. And I put my stuff in the college, and the college doesn't have elevators, and I was on the fourth floor, so I had to climb up, the 4 flights of steps. Really old school, huge ass, big ass, fucking packed ass luggage, carrying that shit up all the way up to the top of the steps.
You took
Then,
two suitcases with you?
no, just one big one. We were only allowed one big suitcase
Oh yeah.
in our
What did you
backpacks.
take not a carry-on?
Well, yeah, it was our backpacks. That backpack was carry on.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, so my backpack was my personal item, and then remember, also didn't know that you could bring a purse and a backpack.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
forgot it's your first time flying, so you
yeah.
didn't know. I was like, "What do you mean? You
Oh.
get a carry-on, a personal item, and a luggage?"
No, I didn't know that. So, I carried my luggage up, blah, blah, blah. And then the first thing, I won't go into too much detail, but this is like how I arrived in London. They all were like, hey, because all of us classmates met previously. We had to go to a class meeting before we even left for London. So we all got to kind of get to know each other a little bit, like who we all would
Yeah.
be going. And they kind of gave us like rules and shit that we can't do over there, etc. And mind you, the professors that we went have been doing this same trip for like 25 years. So every year they go to London, and they've been like all over the
They know
world.
where all the places are.
They fucking know. Yeah, they're just like, we don't care what you guys do as long as you just turn in your fucking assignments, right?
Yeah.
I have a whole episode I want to do specifically on my college experience and my things like that. Anyway, so I'm not gonna get into detail. Anyway, so I get off the thing, I get my luggage in my room, and I'm like, hey, where's everybody? And they're like, hey, we're at this wing place. It's at this hostel. There's a hostel above it, and one of our buddies is staying at the hostel, so he told us about this wing place. It was in Camden Town. If you guys know anything about London, you know Camden Town is the shit. Camden is fucking awesome. It's so cool. It's like kind of where all the younger environment is. I mean, at this time when I was going, there's really cool shops. There's lots of food. And it was
Yeah,
awesome.
and you were also what, like 18 when you went?
No, 21. I was
21.
21. I turned 21. So also, mind you, the thing about it too was I was there when the World Cup was going on. London was in the World Cup winning when we were there. This
England.
entire or England, I meant, sorry. England, yeah, sorry, my brain just farted there. I was there during the World Cup. Those 2 weeks I was there was the time of the World Cup, which was one in itself absolutely fucking amazing. And like I said, I'll have a whole episode
Get
talking
you
about.
interested into a sport?
No, I was already into soccer. It was more of like the
Oh,
environment.
soccer? You were
Yeah,
into soccer?
football. Anyways, the environment was unreal during that time. That's why I also say I went during the World Cup because it was an insane environment to be in, right? So I meet them up at this chicken wing place, and it's a hostel, so there's a lot of other Americans there. So we were hanging out with people from like New York, like all over the United States. It was actually really fucking cool for the first night that we were there. And then I'm 2 weeks in uh London, and I had the best time ever. I'll go into detail later. And then I flew back and had no problems flying back home. And I was so sad to leave. Like I genuinely was like, I don't want to go back to here to where I have nothing to look forward to right now. I have to figure out what the fuck I'm doing with my life. What's going to like I had no clue. Like I was like, I spent 2 weeks, some of the best 2 weeks of my entire life, learning so much about that. My whole perspective of the entire world changed. Of just like, we are such tiny little dots,
Yep.
and I'm stuck in this town right now. Not really stuck in the town. I love Stillwater, don't get me wrong. It was more of just like I didn't know my next steps. I had to go find a new job. I was just there was just so much going on that I didn't know how to navigate. And that was such a perfect thing to do for 2 weeks to find myself again after this fresh thing happened, after just seeing the world for the first time, like truly experiencing the world. And
You got to actually travel somewhere.
oh my god, and never doing it in my entire life. Like, we never really went on vacations, and if we did, it was always bad. They were always, like, the cheapest you could go, the like, I've
All right,
had
vacations, baby.
I've had these stories before. But anyways, that was the one of the first times ever, like, actually traveling. But I'll bring the mic back to Stoney before I tell him, like, one of my worst travel stories. So I'll stop there, and I'll give the mic back to Stoney before I talk about one of the worst traveling experiences I've ever had.
Yeah, I guess kind of one of the worst. I wouldn't necessarily say the absolute worst, but one that just really sucked. Purely just because of the method of travel. Um, we had to go from Oklahoma to North Dakota. Or no, sorry, Montana. Yeah, we had to go all the way to Montana. And it was like you have to be there as soon as possible kind of thing.
Yep.
And let's see, I think there was probably 20 of us that ended up having to go. I
That's a
think
lot. That's a lot.
maybe I think that sounds about right, like number
If
wise.
you're not a band or an artist group or anything that has to travel, but just, like, family traveling together,
Oh yeah, it's
a lot.
awful.
That's a lot.
We took a 15 passenger van
Jesus.
and I think like 3 vehicles. And whenever you have that many people going, it's not as quick as it says, just like if you're just doing it by yourself, because that's doing it by yourself, unaccounting for any stops at all.
And
You
you
know
have,
what I
like,
mean?
30 million people with you.
Yeah, so we had 20, 25 people with us, and we were stopping probably every couple hundred miles, maybe every
Oh,
200 miles or
I couldn't do
so.
that. I'd be like, "Absolutely fucking not."
Yeah, it
Until the
sucked.
tank is
And
empty, you know?
that's not even the absolute worst part. So not only do we have, that many people stopping all the time, so there's a lot of it.
Ugh.
There was I think 4 of us, like cousins, that went, and all the adults and everything like that, but at the time there was only 4 of us. There was not enough room for all of us to have seats.
Well, yeah, you said it was, like, a 15 passenger,
Yeah, it
right?
was a
And then
15
3 cars?
passenger van, like a long, like one of those white Chevy vans.
Yeah. Little church
Yeah.
van.
Kind of like, yeah, exactly. Kind of like a church van, except it
So do they
was
take the 3 cars and put everyone's luggage in the cars at least? Like in
yeah,
the
it was
vehicles?
trucks.
Okay, so
So
that you
there was
weren't
like
having
3 truck beds, so there was plenty of space
all
for
the
luggage
luggage
and stuff.
so in the
And
van.
I actually think the van was pulling one of the trailers, I think.
Okay.
Something like that. I think that's what it was. I
Anyways,
can't remember. This was,
this is a prominent
this
memory,
was
yeah.
what, 20 years ago almost, I think.
Anyways.
Um Yeah, so we ended up laying on the floor underneath the seats or underneath like where feet are.
Which is a rough ride for all the way to Montana.
Yeah. Yeah. It sucked. Like that, and I remember we would alternate who got to lay in, like if anyone's ever been in a church van, it's got like a double door that opens. It's got like a little step up or step down area. We would alternate who got to sit there because you could actually stretch out.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, that
uncomfortable.
sucked.
That's
That
uncomfortable.
sucked. And then we had to do it the whole way back too.
Yeah,
So
and
it
like I
took
said,
like 24 hours for us to get there, like
yeah,
there and back.
it's not like I said, it's not like you're a band or traveling artist or anything. You're literally a family just deciding to pack everything in.
Yeah, at least with a band, in most cases, there's not, if you have a van like that, there's not, that many people all shoved in a van.
Yeah.
Usually it's like 6 to 10
Yes.
maybe.
Yes, not 20 something people. That's insane.
Oh, it was miserable.
Yeah, that does sound miserable. And then and also like the way back is like the worst. The way back
Yeah,
is
because like we had to go up there for a funeral. And so like not only were we going up there for something, we went up to something that was, sad, and then we had to drive all the way back. It was a very, very, very long drive.
I think the thing that would make me annoyed was one, you also can't really roll windows down in there because it's a church van style. You don't
Yeah,
have like
yeah, the only thing we could do was
not,
pop open the windows,
yeah,
but
there's not really
luckily
like
it was my family and everybody likes to stay freezing cold, so it was cranked to cold the whole way there.
yeah,
And this was also in like winter because I
yeah. So it's
remember
not
we got
too
there and it was snowing.
scorching hot, yeah. But also the thing is not only that, but you have everyone smells,
Yes,
everyone smells,
exactly.
and everyone having to pee every 5 seconds, and you're like, Jesus Christ, no one. We're not like my thing
Oh,
is like
they got to the point like within after like the first two stops, like there was like if we're not filling up, we're not stopping.
yeah the crammed in a van or crammed in a truck or just basically crammed in a car for 10 plus hours is not fun.
Oh
Especially
no.
when it's with family or like, you just everyone starts getting on everyone's nerves and you're kind of just over it by that point. By the time you get there, you don't even want to like be there. you know?
Oh, actually,
Awful.
because that one was short, can I tell another quick one about
Yeah, you
traveling,
can
like
yeah,
distance?
go for it.
So
Go for
this
it.
was like the first time as an adult, like living on my own kind of adult, I guess you could say, traveling like across the country, just driving. And it was like basically I had to do like a 16 or 17-hour drive.
You
Um,
you weak boy.
yeah,
That's
yeah, right.
weak. Tell me when
Yeah,
you're driving 120 hours in one day.
yeah, right. No kidding. So
120
it was the first. It was like I'd already been driving it for a while, but like it was the first time I had done like any true distance. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
mainly anything over like 10 hours, I
Yes.
guess. Um, Especially, and I was doing it in one pull. Like I was not stopping. I was not doing anything. And like thinking back on it, I did it the stupidest way possible. I had a weekend to do something, and I was going somewhere for the weekend. So I had worked, and then I had to drive, which at the time I think
It's exhausting.
yeah, it was something dumb, but like I think I left at like I want to say 8 p.m. and
Like
then
you're
I
like,
didn't.
I will definitely be fine to drive
Yeah, I was like
60.
I'll be totally fine. I'll just, do what I always do when I get tired and driving. And like thinking back on it, this is so stupid because I'd already been working all day. I think it was like probably 10 hours or something that day. And
Actually.
then um and then I got in the car, and at the time I was driving a '09 Cadillac CTS. So
Mhm.
pretty good car for something like this. Got pretty decent gas mileage. It was pretty quick, and at the time, I knew I was driving at night, so obviously I could go a little faster. Um, it was. I got in the car, started heading that way, and then probably 5 hours into the drive, I started having some problems with my car,
Oh, fun.
and I was like, "Holy shit! This is not good. Like, this is not going to be good." And so I called somebody and was like, "Hey, this is what's going on. Um, what can I do and how should I go about this?" And basically, what was going on with my car is the Cadillacs have coil packs, and one of my coil packs was going out. So it would like kind of stutter. It kind of felt like how like an old car might misfire or something like
Mhm.
that, like backfire.
Mhm.
And so it was doing that. And then it started getting worse as I kept driving. And so, like, about 10 hours into this drive, I was basically, at the time I was making, I was like filling up like every, I don't know, probably 350 miles or so.
Yep.
So I would stop. I would take like 20 minutes at every stop, and I was like, I have this amount of time to do whatever. I can go to the bathroom, I can grab some snacks, some food, whatever, stretch, walk around, fill up, all that jazz, right? So, I remember the second time that I stopped, I turned my car off to get gas because it was a gas car, filled it up, went inside, did all my stuff, and I went to start it. And up until this point, my car never has had any issues. Second you push that button, it starts. It was one of those push button cars. I pushed the button and it just kept like it just kept trying to fire and then
Okay.
eventually fired. And I was like, oh fuck, this is really not good. And so I start panicking kind of, and I'm like, fuck, okay, I'm like, I want to say I was like
Something's
10
really
hours in.
wrong. Yeah, something's really
Yeah, I
wrong.
was like, and at this time, I'd already been awake for 24 hours. All I'd been doing is I bought gallons of water, like sunflower seeds, anything to like kind of keep. Well, that and
Stimulate
at the
you.
time I was dipping a lot, so I bought like rolls of dip, and I was just going through dip like crazy,
Yeah.
and staying awake. I was basically just doing nothing but drinking water, e- uh, having nicotine and caffeine, and just being honestly very feral about it, if I'm being honest. And then by the time I get there, I pull into the place and it's like 15 hours, 16 hours at this point. I get to the place, I go to check into my hotel that I'd already called ahead, booked it and everything. Hotel's not, you're not allowed to check in till this time. I was like, okay, cool. I had 2 hours to try to figure out what to do,
Yeah.
and I was like, cool, 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 cool. And I was like, okay, well, now that I'm here, I know where I'm at. Let me see if I can find a dealership because Cadillac's kind of one of those dumb brands where their stuff is predominantly at their dealerships.
Yeah.
And I found one, and it was like 30 miles away. And I was like, okay, cool. I know where I can get there. It'll be fine. I go there and I explain my situation, and they're like, okay, well, it's gonna be this amount of money. And it was like at the time, $600, fucking a lot of money. I mean,
Yeah.
even today, $600 is still a lot of money to me. But
Yeah.
I was so pissed because I was like, fuck, I'm gonna have absolutely no money. I'm gonna only have enough money to basically just come here, fix my car, and then get home. Fuck. Okay. Cool. So like right off, I just got to the place I was going to. At right when I got there, I was like, I have no money. This is great. This is not gonna be cool. So yeah, that was one of those trips, and so I ended up getting the car fixed, getting into my hotel, staying, and then going home. And the way home was completely fine. Like it was just like you were talking about.
Well,
Like
yeah,
it
you just
was,
got your car fixed.
and at that time I had made this drive specifically. This one, this was the first time I made it solo. The first time I drove, I had a co-driver with me, so I could swap off. It wasn't as bad. But holy shit, driving that solo sucks.
Yeah. I've had a similar
And then
experience to
actually,
that.
hold on. Now that I'm thinking, I think made that drive like 4 times, five, 5 times, 5 times. Holy shit! Wow, wow. Okay, I guess I have driven quite a bit across the country. Now that I think about it,
I've had a similar experience to that, like working, then immediately having to go down for something, then have to come back
like when you moved
for
to
work
Houston.
again. Yeah, that was the
I was like,
week
I've
before.
done that drive too, from OKC all the way down to Houston. It sucks.
The week before, well, same thing from Stillwater, so it was extra
Yeah.
time. The week before I moved to Houston in late 2018, I was also going to school down there because I was trying a bunch of new things during that year. I was like, I wanted to leave Stillwater and kind of start fresh. I moved down to Houston and I was going to a surgical tech school because I was like, maybe this is something I'm interested in, blah, blah, blah. And that school, whenever I moved, that school started the week after. So I had to basically, after I got off work, I had to drive all the way down to Houston. Luckily, the person I was gonna be living with let me stay there, like check the house out too while I was down there, kind of thing. And we hung out for a little bit, and then I had to go sign all the paperwork on like that Monday morning. And luckily, my work let me have off that Monday, but they told me I had to be back, at that like early morning, 7 a.m. on Tuesday, right? I was like, cool, 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 cool. So after I signed all that paperwork on that Monday, I had to immediately drive all the way back from Houston, come home, get maybe 2 hours of sleep, and then go to work all day the next day. And then pack all my shit up that rest of the week while also working 12+ hour days. It was awful. It really did suck. That time sucked. But yeah, I have an experience with that of just like there and back and being like, cool, 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 cool.
Right.
Um, so my final story will kind of end on is another, I think one of the worst. I'm not say worst because there's a lot of shit that could go wrong when people travel, especially when we travel internationally. Like I said, you guys just heard my story about traveling to London for the first time. This time is also another international travel. This was more of an unfortunate thing happened rather than like uh something going like bad, going wrong really badly or something, like people losing their entire wallets and passports and things like that. You know what I mean? That's unfortunate. Um, so we went, like I said, I'll have a whole episode about Kontiki because I want to talk about Kontiki with you guys, the traveling business. It's so fucking great. Highly recommend. Just shortness of it. Fabulous company to go on trips with. Um, I booked a trip for Kontiki of January 2020 to Italy. I was going to be in Italy for 2 weeks, and this was literally the day I got home from Italy. 2 weeks later, COVID happened and the world shut down. Like literally, like Italy was completely shut down less than a month after I just left that place. It was
Yeah.
absolutely crazy and the timing couldn't, but I'm also glad that was the last time I ever really like traveled overseas. That was the last time I did any of that. But I was so lucky that I got to experience the first 2 weeks of January 2020 in Italy and then having to be on lockdown for 2-3 years. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
just insane. So, um at this point I think this is like my third or fourth flight at this point. Like I traveled um to London, I had some flights on that. I've traveled from Houston to Oklahoma on a flight for like a holiday. And then this next one was like, okay, this is my other big. Oh, and then like yeah. This is like my big another travel across the pond to a different country kind of thing, right? And
Right.
since I had 2 weeks in London, I was like, I think now, one, you're getting your money's worth. The fact that you're paying so much for a plane ticket to go across the pond, you might as well be there for at least 2 weeks.
Right.
And having not experienced a lot of these countries, I was like, wow, 2 weeks is a perfect time. 2 weeks to a month is such a perfect time in each country to really get it. 2 weeks is like a good time for most long trips, especially with we were seeing most of like middle Italy, not northern Italy or really much more southern Italy. It was just kind of like around Rome and maybe 4 hours away from Rome. That's about it.
Right.
Um, so I flew from uh Dallas airport all the way to JFK, and this is the first time I was in JFK airport, and that's a very secure airport. There, it's like well, obviously for obvious reasons, but it is like an insane airport to be at. It is a very big airport, just like Atlanta or LAX, but it is a very like high security, super everywhere type of place. Um, like I said, for obvious reasons. And we leave, or I leave from JFK to Rome. That is where we were going to be going, Rome, Italy. And I was like another, oh, okay, it's going to be a long flight. No big deal. I know how to expect on international flights now. Like it's, I know
You'd had more travel experience at this
yes,
time.
at this point. Yeah. So I was like, okay, not bad. In flight meals, blah, blah, blah. This is where the unfortunate stuff happens. So we get where it's like morning. Like I always try to do like leave at nighttime so that way you are there in the morning on like the new
First day you're
countries.
there.
Yes, it's always like so we left it I left at like nighttime and then got there early that morning. And also I got there 2 days early before this Kontiki trip started, which is like I said, I'll get more into it, but it's basically like a company you can book with that's for 18
Yeah,
to
it's like a travel company.
yes, it's a travel company for 18 to 35-year-olds. That's only the ages you can go and be, and they do it. They've been in business since the 80s. I found out through some of my Australian friends I met, and they use it all the time. And I guess it's super popular in other countries because they do tours all over the United States. They do tours
Yeah,
all over
and I would
the
imagine
country.
for them it's really cheap if they wanted to do like a Kontiki trip, like
And
say they're from
everything with
England and they're going to Greece or
yeah,
something.
everything with Kontiki too is like usually you can stay a weekend, you can do holidays, you could do 2 weeks, you could do a full month, you could do up to like 45 days and do a bunch of different countries. But I did what was called the Italian espresso, and that means I got to see a lot of Italy, a lot of the major destinations there, and also everything with Contiki is all inclusive, all included. And then you have like extra, extra things you pay for. Like I paid for a pasta class. I got to learn how to cook homemade pasta in Italy, a private class, and they get tons of discounts. You're not having to like, for example, we got to go see the Vatican, and usually the Vatican is like a 2 hour plus wait. We got in immediately because they have special permission from a lot of, because they've been, like I said, they've been in business for so long. They have so many deals with so many places that not only are you getting the best prices, but you're getting so much for your money's worth. And if you try to do it individually, like doing it by yourself,
You
it would
pay
be
so
like,
much more.
it would be like double, triple the price. So I highly recommend Kontiki if you're traveling, if you're under 35 and you're above 18. I cannot express enough. I'll talk way more about all my Kontiki travels, but anyways, they charter bus you around. Like you literally all you have to do is wake up when they tell you at the hotel, and that's it. Like they take care of everything, all the traveling, all the hotels. They give you like you just are there for the ride. Basically, it's amazing. It's so much stress taken off your body. Especially for me, like when I like to book things and I don't mind it, but when they give you a complete itinerary, this is where we're gonna be. This is what we're gonna be doing. This is what you have to do. This is your free time. Like I was like, this is amazing. I don't even got to worry about anything. It was fucking great. So, anyways, I'm on the flight to Rome, and it's the morning, so we're getting woken up for our breakfast meal, or it was dinner time, and we got woken up for our late like dinner meal. Our dinner meal was at like 2 a.m. That's kind of when they serve the dinner meal. You know, because on like flights like that, it's just kind of time based, you know. So we got our in-flight meal, and I ended up getting food poisoning from this in-flight meal. Like 100% got food poisoning. This is where the unfortunate
Oh
aspect.
yeah. I know. Okay, I know
Yeah,
what part of the
yeah,
story
yeah,
you're
yeah,
at.
yeah. So I got food poisoning from it. I ate and then I immediately fell asleep because I was like, "Oh, we still have 5 hours left on this plane. I just ate. It'll be morning by the time we'll get woken up with breakfast. No big
Yeah,
deal. Let's go sleep."
the easiest way to do those
Yeah.
flights.
So I fell asleep, and also I was just tired. I fell asleep. I ate, fell asleep, didn't think anything of it. And I woke up that morning by the flight attendants. You know, they make noise and let you know, or your neighbors will wake you up or whatever. And it was breakfast time. We got a little scones or desserts or whatever we're eating, and I was eating, and I was like totally fine, and like I just kind of was like, I'm getting a little sick. And usually I just think, oh, because I get nauseous and like just icky all the time randomly sometimes. I was thinking maybe it's just because like I'm sleeping on a plane, there's all these smells, we're almost there, I'm ready to get off. You know that travel like, ugh, I can't wait to be there kind of feeling where you just start getting like, oh, please, can't wait to land. Um, I just thought, oh, that's what was happening. And then all of a sudden, I start like profusely sweating. Like I am like running kind of a fever. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I was like, what is happening? And I was like, man, my stomach does not, like, I don't feel good. And so I went to the airport bathroom and just threw up in the little airplane bathrooms, just like hurling, just not having a good time. I'm sweating and I'm thinking, oh, maybe it was just something I ate, didn't set right with my stomach, whatever. And I thought that was going to be the end of it. Because usually, once you get out of your stomach, you're like, oh, it's no big deal, right? You're fine. We still had an hour until we landed. I'm at this point miserable. I am like sweating my dick off. I am so pale. I am not feeling good. I've been taking motion sickness medicine. I'm taking like nausea medicine. I'm taking everything I can. My neighbor passenger, also having good neighbor passengers help. Got the flight attendant to get me some like crackers so I could like, and like a ginger ale, just like I could fucking just get off the plane and not be a disaster, right? So as soon as we landed, we had to get a cab from the airport to our hotel that we had to meet up with the Contiki team at, right? And Rome is a little spread out. Italian drivers, y'all are fucking nuts. Y'all are crazy, crazy drivers. Most countries are. Y'all are nuts, zooming so fast everywhere, just hauling ass.
Lines are
Okay.
suggestions.
Yes, pretty fucking much.
It's the same way in the
And
Middle East.
and with particularly in Rome, everything's kind of a really big circle. That's technically what it is. So you have to like go around to get to one side or you're exiting here, and there's a lot of, like, tiny roundabouts into one big roundabout. It's like a bunch of circles. And it's a lot of turns. It's a lot of lefts, a lot of rights, a lot of, like, just nuts, right? So, we finally land, and I call the cab, or I try to get our cab to pick us up, and we originally had one pre-scheduled that was supposed to pick up, but it wasn't there, so we had to book with some thing. And my biggest fear is, like, a lot of the airports do have sketchy people that are there to, like,
Trying to
kidnap
traffic
people.
you.
Yes.
They do that very
And
often.
yes. And I am miserably sick, and the person I went with, an actual idiot, was not really had very much self-awareness, was not, like, paying attention to anything, didn't really give a shit about what was going on, nor cared. That's why I'm not friends with this person anymore. Um, and I was like, "Okay, well, we need to get a cab to get to our hotel." I'm so fucking sick. Like, I'm, like, leaning on my luggage. I am not doing okay. Like, I need to, like, go lay down in the shower, and
And then
just
the
kinda,
worst
like,
part you said was that she just didn't even care that you were like that
yeah,
either.
no, didn't give a shit at all. So busy, very conceited, all about herself. We get into this random cab, and it was a really, really nice, uh I wanna say, like, a Mercedes or just a really fancy car that I was like, "Huh, these this cab, like, this is weird." It's a
Right.
very nice cab, like, and it was kind of at, like, the side back of the airport, and I was thinking, "Oh, fuck, we're about to have to pay a shit ton of money for this one." Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was
Yeah. Thought you were about to get,
'cause
like, just hosed.
yeah, pretty much. And it was, yeah, I paid a shit ton for this cab, and it was ridiculous. I was so annoyed, but at this point, I didn't really know what was going on because, like I said, I am, like, so out of it at this point. We finally get into this, and mind you, my fight or flight is kicking in. I am, like, on high alert. I'm nervous. I don't know what's going on. I feel miserable. This bitch is over here fucking nose deep in her phone, not giving two shits about where we're at, not even, like, acknowledging that we're in this super nice car headed somewhere that we don't even know because we don't know where we're going, you know? So
Yeah.
I'm, like, hunched over, and I'm like, "I have to throw up. I'm gonna fucking throw up. I'm going to throw up in this very expensive car, and they're probably gonna charge you for it." Like, I just was like, "I'm not having a good time." There was no bags at all. You can't really pull over because it's, like, street highways. You don't have a place to do that. Like, it's not set up like that, like how America is, where you can just, like, pull off the highway, throw up in the grass or whatever, or just in the street. Like, it's not set up like that. And this dude is hauling ass. He is driving fucking 90 to nothing, pedal to the metal, scooting and bopping around these turns, which is making me car sick on top of having food poisoning, right? I reached into my backpack and I had pantyhose from, like, for what I was gonna a pack of pantyhose I was gonna wear for my travel. I forgot to put it in my suitcase, so I put it in my backpack. I took the pantyhose out of this tiny little plastic, you guys know what I'm fucking talking about. The tiny little plastic bag that the pantyhose come in, like, very tiny. And I proceed to quietly throw up in this pantyhose bags with my head between my legs, getting thrown around from side to side in this fucking car. I do not like, I also feel like I'm experiencing vertigo at this point too, because I cannot tell what way is up. Like, I was just miserable. I'm sweating. It's like I want to get out of the car. The guy had the heat on as well. So I was just baking and miserable and throwing up in this fucking pantyhose bag in the back of this Italian fucking what they call Uber, right? We finally, mind you, this person also does not know this is going on. Like, she's, like I said, not even paying attention to what's happening. Finally, we get out of the car and I politely have this bag of throw up in my hand and trying to, like, kind of hide it while I'm getting my luggage out of this truck or out of this car, and then proceed to pay this man basically almost triple what a regular cab fare would have been from Rome to our hotel, right? Our hotel literally right in Rome by the airport. We then get there, and I'm like stumbling up to the front desk. Mind you, this, like I said, this person is the worst travel person I've ever been with. I'm so glad I'm not friends with them anymore. Pieces of shit. I managed to get up to the front desk and I was like, look, I need to get in my room now. I am not good. I'm very sick right now. I need to go to the bathroom. I need to take a shower. Something, please. Mind you, this is also a very old Italian hotel. It's been there for a very long time. They do not have the same amenities as new hotels, like big elevators and everything like that, right? We were on the top floor, and most hotels are just really old. They're the same as they've
They're old
been.
buildings and
They
they don't
do
have
not
elevators.
they don't remodel because they keep the structure of the old
Well,
Italy
they
vibe.
can't because we're
Yeah,
talking
they
about
can't.
hundreds
Yeah.
of year old
Yes,
buildings as
yes,
opposed to in
literally. This
America.
this building was so old, which is fine. Like, I get it. It was totally fine. It was a very beautiful hotel. I have to carry my heavy ass luggage all the way up these flight of stairs while trying not to shit my pants. Like, every time I'm lifting, I'm like full squeezing my butthole together because I feel like every lift I was going to explosive diarrhea in my pants and then projectile vomit out my mouth. And I was like, I am not about to do this in this hotel with all these people I am about to meet tomorrow, the next morning. I was not about to have it. And the next day I was going to meet all these people, right? So we finally get into the room, and the rooms are keys. They're not like cards. They're like old skeleton keys. Finally get into the room, and I just strip naked and I run and I just no, I still had my underwear and bra on and my socks. And I just threw myself into the shower and turned on the cold water and I sat there for 3 hours in there throwing up and trying to get off and up and into the toilet to shit my brains out. That was the very first, like, welcome to Italy experience for me, is I got food poisoning on the airplane and then proceeded to have the worst rest of the night the whole time. Just
And then
hours
and
of
then
shitting and vomiting.
yay, only a week longer to do it.
No, 2 weeks. So then I was like, "Fuck, like, this is miserable." And then the next morning, we had to be up at 6 a.m. to meet our team, to meet everybody, and to start traveling, right? And I'm like, "Oh god, I can't wait to go to sleep. This is gonna be so good. I'm gonna sleep so good tonight. I've been shitting and throwing up all day. Oh, I'm exhausted," right? Mind you, it was the morning when we got there. They let us into our room early, thank God. If you guys have ever been to Rome, you know this. If you've never been to Rome, let me just give you a little snippet of what it's like to stay in Rome, in Italy. And I'm not even fucking kidding, every 10 minutes, their stupid sirens go off. Their
Boo,
am
beep, boo, beep, boo.
It is not an ambulance like an American. Every country has a different ambulance noise.
But it's
Italy's
like
is
a
the most annoying. Italy's is the most annoying,
it's
okay?
like a clown honk.
Not only do you have cobblestone everywhere, fucking
Loud
concrete
ass
everywhere,
roads.
everything is echoing. So you have this almost every 10 minutes going off, these stupid, dumb Italian ambulances. Look up the sound and then think of that every 10 minutes, and you're trying to go to sleep, and it's hot as fuck because they don't have AC, so you have to keep the windows open to have a breeze coming in. Have a fever, you're sweating, you're shitting your pants, and just having to have that every 10 minutes. Well, it wasn't so bad. We only stayed in Rome for 2 days, and then we stayed in Rome for 2 days when we got back. Because I got there early. You always wanna get there, like, early, you don't wanna get it the day of, you wanna get there early.
And they
So I
just
got there a
weave
day
in and out of
earlier.
traffic
Yep,
too.
and
Wow.
that's how they all drive. So, like, that was a horrible experience, um, driving there, and then I basically was in Italy 2 weeks alone by myself, which was really awesome. I met so many amazing, when you're on these Kon-Tiki tours, you're meeting people also that are going on the same tour as you. So, you're meeting people from all around the world. So, a majority of it depending on the time, a lot of, like, Australians, they have times in between their, like, jobs and universities, and they all will take the same 2 weeks off
Right.
around certain times. So we had a lot of I met so many Australian friends. I still talk to them. They're fucking awesome and great. Shout out to you guys if you're listening. Um, that was super fun. I met people from South America. I met people from China. I met people from Japan. There was a couple people from India, which is really cool. And it was so much fun because that was also another very first experience. Because when I went to London, it was a bunch of people from Oklahoma going over to London together. this was the first time I was experiencing a bunch of different cultures together in one country, and
Yeah.
that was really fun. So I got to know some of their traditions that they do, or like things that card games that they played, which was really fun. We all got to really know each other and just had a really good experience bonding of being in Italy for 2 weeks. Because you bond with these people when you're like meeting them and hanging out and everything. And we went all over Italy, and that was super fun. Like I said, I'll go into more details on those Contiki episodes. But that was also one of the worst travel experiences, was getting that food poisoning on the plane, and then 45 minutes in an insane Italian taxi, and then the rest of the night just filled with sirens.
Right.
Granted, we were at a great place and it was really pretty, and I was like, this is magical. Besides all that, I was having the time of my life. Besides all the shitty shit happening, literally shit, I
Yeah.
was having a great time. So I'm not gonna take away from that trip. It wasn't any like, it was just an unlucky circumstance of getting sick that first time that I was there. And I felt a little shitty the next day, but I felt way better within, the first 3 days there,
Right.
And then I had a fucking blast, and Stoney's heard all about it. But I can't wait to take Stoney to Italy. Also, I'm gonna make him do the same exact trip. Fucking great.
The staying in the hostel part is where I'm like,
It's not a hostel. We're in an actual hotel. They don't make you stay in hostels
I
unless
thought you said like you had to share a bathroom and stuff.
no.
Did that one did that one have like a bathroom in your room?
Yeah, we were in a hotel. Like,
Oh, okay.
there's sometimes on Contiki, the only hostels you stay at is like, I know when you do the Egypt tour, you're actually on the Nile River, like on a riverboat. But they have they have tons of travel plans. If you guys want something, plug in Contiki in there. And they're all around the world. You can go to Sweden, you go to Iceland. They have specific things, like you could spend St. Patrick's Day a week in Ireland. You can spend Pride in Amsterdam, in different countries. You can go see the Northern Lights specifically. They have like adventure Contiki, which is like people who really do a lot of mountain biking or hiking. There's like those kind of Contikis on there too, which I think is really cool. Like if you're just a big hiker or you like mountain biking, they have the exact same trips, but just more extreme, technically. They do all the other stuff. Me, I'm like, I like to walk around sightsee. I'm not going on fucking hikes up fucking Switzerland mountains. You know what I mean? Fucking 10-mile hikes. No,
Swiss
thank you.
Alps?
Yeah, the Swiss Alps. No, thank you. I don't feel like doing that. 10
Yeah,
mile hikes.
I want to
No
go to
thanks.
Switzerland and eat chocolate. Like
Yeah,
that's
right.
my level of
Yeah, but no, it was a really fun experience because, like I said, I'll go into more detail. But like one of the coolest things I did over there was make fresh pasta from one of the top pasta makers in Italy, in the specific area we were at, and got to have a private class. That's the coolest part about it, is you get so many like one-on-one time without having to pay like triple the money. But anyways, yeah, that was my very last story, and I think we'll end there of my shit story, literally. Just unfortunate. It wasn't a bad time. It's more of just, and I feel like every time I international travel, it's always an unfortunate circumstance that happens. It's never the trip is bad, you know. So if we ever travel internationally again, just know that something's gonna go wrong as we go, as we go. Well, it was a very random episode. Honestly, I really didn't have like a plan for this one except for talk about traveling, and I'm sure I have tons more stories to tell you guys, but those are just some little Stony, little Conway, nothing crazy. But yeah, 'tis the season. Get ready for all the traveling if you do it, and I feel sorry for you guys that have to travel across the country for holidays. I can imagine that would just sounds miserable, absolutely miserable. And to do it multiple times and to deal with people. And the worst part about traveling is other people, to be honest. Let's be real. The worst part of actually traveling is either the companies or the people that you travel with and or that are around while you're traveling. Because people are rude. But as you can tell, every once in a while you'll get really nice people that help you out when you need it. And that restores my faith in humanity. But other than that, that's where we're in. Hope you guys enjoy this episode.
Hope you enjoy the episode. Okay, bye.
Stoney, where can the good people find you?
They can find me anywhere and everywhere at Stony Robbins or Stony Robbins _. If you can't figure it out, I don't know what to tell you. What
Nice,
about
nice.
you, Conway?
You guys can find me at conwaytitty.com. That is conwaytitty.com. All the stuff's there. Super easy, super simple. We also have a podcast website now, so theramblingpodcast.com. You can find all of our links if you don't want to listen on Spotify or YouTube or Apple, Google Podcasts, whatever you get your podcast, it is available. You'll also find our links for our pages. So with that being said, happy travelers. Happy travelers? Fair. What is the what? Good travels to you. What is the song that I'm thinking of?
I don't know. At this point, it sounds like you had a stroke.
Happy
I think we
trail.
should just go ahead and fade out right about this point. And this
Happy.
will be
Oh
the
yeah,
end
yeah,
of
yeah.
the
It's
this will
the
be the end
it's
of the podcast episode,
no.
everybody.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
Okay,
It's
bye.
Stoney's the worst. It's literally the happy trail to you. That song. That's what I was thinking of. Okay. Anyways,
And
bye.
now we fade out to black.